Good evening. I'm Helen Mirren, and you're watching Documentary Now, Season 52. The modern art world can be divided into two groups, Isabella Barter and everyone else. In 2010, a film crew followed the renowned performance artist as she returned to her roots in Budapest, Hungary, to prepare for her career retrospective. Please enjoy Waiting for the Artist.
Isabella Barter is, without question, the most important performance artist of the last half-century.
So many have tried to follow in her footsteps, and so many have failed, because what she does is impossible to replicate.
Elle prend beaucoup de risques. Rien ne lui fait peur. Elle est incroyable.
Now, Isabella, she is returning to her hometown of Budapest, Hungary, and she is there for a retrospective of her life's work, and maybe the promise of something new, a new piece. The question on everybody's mind, and they're not saying, is does she have anything new to say? I think maybe no. Her best work is in the past, and that is okay for an artist.
Oh, I'm nervous. Yeah. No, I'm always nervous.
Put your knee forward, please.
I mean, for how many years can you be surprised? You know, I jump out of your closet one night and you'll be shocked. But I do the same thing for 30 years. At some point, you're going to say to me, hey, you know, get your own closet to hide in.
I am human, I am human, I am human, I am human.
We are but a few months away from the show, and as of now, Isabella has yet to be inspired with an idea. But historically, if given space to explore, an idea will come to her. What she's doing now will not be the performance. I don't think.
Yeah. I like my hair in that one. It's good.
Maybe here.
So what we're doing is we're going through my archives to find the pieces that best represent my career.
Isabella's early work was about being unseen. There was Spotlight, where she stood just outside a beam of light. Then, of course, Under the Blanket, where she remained under a blanket for the entire day, making only the smallest of movements.
The idea of invisible performance has so much to do with Isabella's childhood.
What you have to understand about me is that I grew up under communist rule in Hungary. You know, my parents, they lived in state housing that was not zoned for children. When I was born, they kept me hidden because the stove in our apartment, it worked. And they were worried if we moved to new apartment that the that the stove there would not work.
So Isabella, she told me this story. When she was a child, the inspector came to the building to inspect for children, and her mother put a coat over Isabella. The inspector did not know it was her, so he put his coat over, thinking that she was a coat rack. She stayed like this, not moving, for a long time, until the inspector left. And this, as you know, is the inspiration for a coated spirit.
I'm very nervous. This is a big deal, I tell you. Got pain in my uterus already. Each room has one of my historic pieces performed by someone else. And then I will be here in the last room. And then I cover the walls in gasoline, right? Then I light the gasoline, big fire. And then I run out of the museum before it burns down.
Ray, could you please put that out?
What don't you like?
Fire is very unsafe.
Yes, but art is not supposed to be safe. It's supposed to be radical.
But there are still rules to starting fires indoors.
Whose rules?
The city. We could apply for permits.
No, it's ruined.
Isabella, please come out.
She's frustrated. She's worried. She has no more ideas.
You look so nervous. Hello. So nice to meet you. Ah, I'm the man with the beard, too. Hello. So nice. And you have such lovely ears. I like it. Everyone's cell phones. You will be so happy. Nobody will know where you are.
I need you to find the comfort in the discomfort. We might do some like punching and some tweaking. If I come and I pull your nipples, no screams. No screams at all. Artists must be warrior. Good. Who's next?
With everybody. You know, you will be performing my historic piece, right? So I have to trust you with my life, you know. But I want you to feel free, you know, to ask me absolutely anything, okay?
Will they be performing the bucket series?
The Bucket series is one of Isabella's most famous works.
For the bucket series, a telephone was placed on a pedestal in the center of the room. Then the men in the room were invited to place objects on the floor. There were mousetraps, roller skates, and so on. Once the floor was littered with dangerous objects, everyone would take their seats. After a moment, the phone would ring and Isabella would charge into the room with a bucket on her head. This show was incredibly popular with teenage boys.
It was an amazing piece in that it showed how bestial an audience could be when given a chance. They could have cleared a path for her, but instead they put her in peril. And no matter how bad she fell or how many things she ran into, that face on the bucket remained happy. And that facade, that smiling bucket, is what it means to be a woman.
Moi, je trouve que c'est normal qu'elle est très, très sensible à la bucket series. Parce que c'est là où tout a changé. Elle a rencontré Dimo. You know, it changed your life.
I mean, every night, the show, it would end with me just writhing on floor. It's terrible pain. Except the night Dimo was there. You know, he was the first person to tend my wounds. When he removed my bucket and I saw his face, in that moment, it was love.
I found it offensive that a man would interrupt the performance of a woman. But of course, with Demo, offensive is the goal.
À l'époque, Dimo, c'était un imposteur du monde de l'art. Il avait peur de rien.
I first became aware of Demo when he won Breakthrough Talent at the Milano Biennale d'Arte Moderna. Of course, we later learned that the Milano Biennale d'Arte Moderna was Demo's own creation, that he tricked people into believing was real.
I mean, when I heard about this, I thought, wow, I mean, who is this man who demands to be seen like this?
You make a big posters, and then you rent out a big white room, and you tell all the journalists, and then the next thing you know, you win a stupid little award.
There was an assumption among many, myself included, that when it was time for Demo to do real work instead of pranks, the art world would see him for a fraud. But this time did not come.
My core goal as an artist is to deconstruct the idea of working, of effort, because we are raised to believe that great works of art require suffering. I want to show that no, the opposite is true. The best art is made while eating cookies, drinking a chocolate.
He was incredibly lazy.
His first gallery show was called Modern Sculptures. It was a series of works designed to challenge what art was. Toy car in glass of water, army man in ice tray, and toothbrush next to fork.
What I did was I put no thought and no time into it. I waited until the opening night, and I went to the store, right to the left, around the corner. I bought a bunch of, come si dice la cosa merda, crap.
The next item up for bid is the new piece by Demo Van Omen, cereal box in a party hat.
Les gens disent que le travail de Dimo, c'est pas de l'art, c'est pas de l'art, c'est pas de l'art. Si c'est pas de l'art, pourquoi ils payent des millions de dollars for it?
800,000, 900,000. Are we going to get over $1 million?
Soon after they met, Demo and Isabella fell in love. And of course, that sent ripples through the art world.
He was very untroubled, you know, which I found very calm, because when I'm alone, I think my instincts, they tend towards the chaos, and when I am without idea, as I am now, I really do long for that, for our connection.
Yes, even how it ended between us, I don't think I would ever trade it. No. I don't think she would either, because how could she? This was the most fertile time for her creatively.
My opinion was that she carried Demo. You had a woman who risked everything in her art, and a man who risked nothing.
I conceived this performance impressions, two lovers covered in paint, violently launching ourselves into the canvas, so that even when we left, we would remain.
Impressions was identical to an original piece of Isabella's called Misremembered.
It is very different. This piece is two people, not one. Very different. That paint was black, this was blue. Blue is different than a black.
The art world was always drawn to the story of Demo and Isabella. Their work always made you wonder what their relationship must be like.
Demo insisted that, in spite of our success, that we should drive around Europe in this old van. It was very old, it was very beat up. We would perform and drive, and Demo would pick a spot for us to park the van for the night, and then we would make love. And because this van was really so small, we would, I would sleep in the back, and he would sleep out under the stars. Which I know now is not true, but, it was a lovely thing to believe.
Demo almost always parked near a 5-star hotel. He would get a room for the night while Isabella slept in the van. This was also when the infidelities began.
Isabella, she had asked that we be monogamous, and I said yes. And true to my word, I was always monogamous when I was with her. It was the other times that I was not. And still, for whatever reason, she considered it a betrayal. Women.
Their breakup was very painful for Isabella, but instead of dealing with it in private, she offered to make it a public moment.
Their breakup performance was called Stairwell. Isabella started at the bottom of the Empire State Building, and Dimo was at the top. And they were wearing ski boots.
What was important, I think, for me, was that we passed each other exactly the halfway, because I believe that in the end, we had given the same to each other.
They did not pass halfway. Dimo stopped a few times to have a cigarette, and then he flirted with a couple of secretaries.
You both have beautiful eyes. I don't know who is the better. I say that it's a tie. It's even a tie.
And when he realized he was running behind, he exited the stairwell to take the elevator. But by the time he made it to the 51st floor, she had already passed it. So he sat waiting while she continued on. She climbed every step. By the time she reached the top, he was asleep.
The sad thing is that she was never the same as an artist, and I blame myself for that, of course, but she needs to accept that it was a mistake to part with me.
How long?
45 minutes.
I can hear you.
We had a bit of a shock today. We've been preparing a book to go along with the retrospective. It's been arduous because Isabella is very particular. Today, this book arrived in stores. It's written by Dimo. She has been on the floor ever since. Still no idea for her show. If I was the kind of person who worried, I would worry now.
Well, this is the book. Came out good. Well, there is no courage in offending unless you are also willing to offend those you love. And I hope that that will be a famous quote someday.
It frustrates me that Isabella doesn't value her post-Demo work more. There was so much great work in that era. Like Ein Tag, ein Frankfurter, for one.
Oh, yeah. Ein Tag, ein Frankfurter.
Ein Tag, ein Frankfurter. When people look back at it today, they say, oh, she ate a hot dog a day for 365 days. What's the big deal? But they forget, she only ate one hot dog a day, and she ate it for the entire day.
So there were two key elements to performing Ein Tag, ein Frankfurter. The first was to imagine that each day was my last, and this was going to be the final meal that I would ever eat. So I had to savor every single moment of the experience. And the second key was tiny bites.
La pièce de hot dog, c'est évident que Isabella a besoin de 10 mots. À ce moment-là, elle aurait dû juste l'appeler dîner pour une personne.
When I was 17, I saw Isabella perform Stranger in Need. It changed my whole life.
Hundreds of people a day went through that exhibit. Each one had the opportunity to interact with Isabella in a moment of great vulnerability.
This is the kind of work people are expecting from her.
What? Excuse me, the wire, I think, is causing a big wrinkle in the middle. We cannot have the wrinkle in it because it has to be smooth. Oh, it's really bad.
Okay, so this is the letter I received. Dearest Dimo, will you join me for one last moment, one last twist, one last performance? Yours truly, Isabella. No, I was not surprised. I think Isabella has always made the best decisions, and she is correct to assume that the public will want to see us together again. This is the proper culmination of her career.
Yeah, part of me is disappointed that she's sharing this moment with him. I believe her career is her own.
Il est très, très important dans la carrière d'Isabella. C'est tout ce qu'il faut. J'en suis sûr qu'elle va tout changer à un moment sentimental.
I will not be happy to see Demo. I have nothing to say about this. Sorry, nothing more.
Well, here we are, and let's see what happens. Buonasera. Big crowd, huh? Let's go this way. Up.
You know, if you're a woman working in the arts, or anywhere actually, people always think that you're being controlled. But I've always had control. You know, so if the audience thinks that I'm sad or fragile or emotional, it's because I want them to think that. I've always known exactly what I want and exactly how to get it. Because I'm an artist.